All right, for today's video review, we're going to start taking a look at a set that I've been excited about for a while now. This is part of the Doom and Destruction collection, which is an Amazon exclusive subline that is basically themed around the Mayhem Attack Squad, which, if you're unfamiliar, is a group of Decepticons from the comics, which are basically like the Decepticons versions of the Wreckers. They're supposed to be kind of like their enemy in the comics. So, there's a bunch of different sets in this subline. Personally, the only one that I picked up was Barrage and Chop Shop, just because I wanted two other versions of the, deluxe Insecticons here. But yeah, this is everything that comes in the set. I'm going to split this into a few different videos. The set comes with Barrage, Chop Shop, and then Malice Minotaurus, which is a new character, I guess, which really is just sort of like padding for the set. Like, I think that they just included this guy because it's like, oh, now we can make the set cost a few more dollars, and we knew that, like, if we sold these figures separately, not a single person in the world would purchase this, but it's whatever. But they've done that for a while now, but including an extra little, like, micro, or like I guess this guy with Battle Masters is what they called them at the time, but this is just a repaint of Siege Smashdown. Did he originally come out in Siege? I can't totally remember, but the little Minotaur guy. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to take a look at these guys in different videos. So for today's video, we're going to take all this stuff aside and just be looking at Barrage, who is himself a retool of Bombshell from Legacy Evolution, which, obviously was also using a lot of the same mold as Shrapnel from Legacy Evolution, and that is what Chop Shop is a retool of. So basically 4 of our currently 6 Insecticons are, mostly the same mold, which is, again, kind of a bummer, but either way, I feel like this guy does some pretty cool stuff here with the Bombshell mold. It does switch some stuff around, but weirdly, it's like almost entirely the same mold, aside from the head in robot mode, and then the like the section where the sort of like proboscis bit or the horn on Bombshell attached. And then these back legs are also new, but they're just like separate peg-on bits. And he does include the same bits that came with Bombshell. So if you wanted to do him more like that, it was like, I guess we should have noticed this like separate tabs at the time on the Bombshell arm mold, and really the Shrapnel arm mold too. But you can, would it be like that? Yeah, let's be. Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. So they're switched around from how they were. Yeah, so you can't really do the Bombshell legs. I mean, you can fold them down and still peg them in. These bits don't actually attach to the they kind of do. Like, they tab in here, but they don't tab into the body. So you could still do it like that if you wanted to. But one of the changes they made, again, it's all the same molds, but they switched the forearms because instead of how it works for Bombshell, this guy does not rotate around the waist for transformation. So it's a clever reuse of the mold in a way that's like, oh, using some of the same parts, but like attaching them differently, and then adding on these extra bug bits, which really does surprisingly reshape the bug mode. Obviously, a big portion of it is the fact that like the whole head section is remolded, so that goes a long way towards remolding the bug. But either way, I think that this works pretty well for Barrage. Like I said, yeah, so he does come with these weapons, which otherwise don't really have anywhere to go. I guess you could like plug them onto the back if you really wanted to, but or up here, but I think that looks kind of stupid. Personally, I don't mind just like putting these in a box. It just kind of came with them because like it was on the mold already, so it might as well have. But I don't really think they add a whole lot to the figure. And then he does also come with Bombshell's gun here. So I guess if you wanted to just peg these on to the Bombshell gun like you could do with that mold, you could just have the whole thing store up here. Again, I don't really like the look of like just the guns pegged onto the top of the bug mode, so personally I'm just going to leave these accessories off to the side, but to each their own. I guess it's it's never a bad thing that it comes with more guns, even if they're not like super well integrated into the figure. But yeah, no, pretty good looking bug mode. Like I said, it's pretty close to Bombshell's alt mode overall in terms of the shaping, but just like adding the extra bug legs there and reshaping the head to look like more like a actually like a rhinoceros beetle head goes a long way towards giving it its own identity here. Now, they do, both him and Bombshell do have this little like Mayhem Attack Squad symbol on them. They also have like regular Decepticon symbols in robot mode, which I appreciate because, you know, like obviously the ransack that we got in Buzzworthy Bumblebee didn't have anything to do with the Mayhem Attack Squad, so I kind of wish that wasn't there, but it's pretty ignorable, all things considered. But yeah, no, I like the bug mode. I will say that because of the way like this bit folds up onto his chest in robot mode, it is a little bit hollow in this like head section, which doesn't quite like really conform to his robot mode head, which makes up like the top bit of the rhinoceros beetle horn, which I guess, if you're really going realistically, should be like the longer horn, but whatever, it's a little robot bug, who cares? So yeah, the head looks like a little bit hollow in there. It doesn't like quite seem like it fits perfectly, but yeah, it's not too bad. Also, weirdly, because it's like, are these supposed to be 2 legs, or was the gun supposed to be 2 legs on Bombshell? So it's like, is this supposed to be the like third set of legs? I had always kind of interpreted as this just being the front legs, and then these bits supposed to be like the stand-ins for the back 2 legs. So it kind of looks like he only has 4 legs because they switched these parts around, where this is now clearly just 1 leg. But I guess these little bits are supposed to be the third set of legs. It's whatever, it's just like a robotic bug. It's got roughly some buggy legs. It doesn't matter all that much. It's still kind of going with that Diaclone aesthetic of like, a ship with bug parts rather than a mechanical bug. Just not that these guys were Diaclone, because they weren't, but the original ones, I mean, but just because it's using the legacy molds from the Insecticon. So it works well enough. In terms of articulation in this mode, I mean, you can bend the head down, but then it's even more obvious that it's hollow. You can still unclick these legs and bring them down like that for whatever reason. And then these, because they're just pegged on, you can rotate them a little bit, but you're really not getting a whole lot. You're pretty much just wanting to sit there like that. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for a standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe in his robot mode, so you can see what the big bug looks like with an average size deluxe robot there. I'll bring back on Chop Shop here, and then also bring on Ransack that came in the Buzzworthy Bumblebee, one of the Buzzworthy Bumblebee 4 packs from a year or 2 ago. The Creatures Collide pack, I think, is when we came in. And yeah, I think that they look really good together. We're just missing Venom now, who allegedly, according to leaked listings, is supposed to be getting his own deluxe next year, presumably going to be his own mold, because he doesn't really share enough in common with like any of these guys. If they were going to reuse any of these molds, I kind of assumed that they would do another retool of these guys, but I hope he gets his own mold, because then, it'd be weird to have like 5 of the 7 Insecticons basically be the same mold, just leaving Kickback and Ransack out, as the separate ones. But I don't know. It's all a little weird anyway, but yeah, I think the 3 of them look really good together. They definitely match aesthetics. Obviously, these 2 look like they fit together a little bit more than these 2, because they both have the like, Doom and Destruction things. They've got like the white lines or whatever, where this guy doesn't really have that present. But I don't know that the original Ransack really did either. So whatever. I think that they all still look pretty good together. And then we'll leave them on here and then bring on the other Insecticons here. I'm going to show them all off together in bug mode in Barrage's video, and then show them all off together in robot mode in Chop Chop's video, just so I don't have to transform them all twice. But yeah, I think that we've got a nice little collection here. Again, it'll be cool to get Venom. According to the leaked listings, that he's actually going to be called Venom, but sometimes they use like stand-in names for that too, so maybe they'll rename him, because like it seems like surely they can't call him Venom, right? Because like the Marvel character. So the last few times that we've gotten like weird sort of homages to him, he's been like Venin, so maybe they'll do that. Either way, you can call the figure whatever you want after you own it, but that's what they all look like together. I think it's a pretty good looking little collection so far. And yeah, we'll get on to transformation. Now, yeah, he's similar to Bombshell. Like I said, there's a couple differences. You don't have to take these off. You can just leave them on there, which is nice, that you don't have to do any parts forming or anything. Basically, you take the arms here and you just like they can be kind of a pain, honestly, to get out of the body, because these bits kind of like latch around these sections, which themselves are painted. So like if you really want to be careful with it, I guess you could kind of like loosen or take these off, just so you're not risking scratching the paint there and then just compressing them back in. But they come off relatively decently. And then you just, like Bombshell, flip these out to the side, rotate out the robot mode hands, which don't need any reorientation, just because with Bombshell they were attached like that in bug mode, but on Barrage they're just attached the way that they are in robot mode. And then like with Bombshell and Shrapnel, you just double hinge open the legs like this, close up these panels, flip down the feet, and then separate him at the legs there. And then with Bombshell, what you would do is rotate it around so this bit becomes the chest. But with Barrage, basically you just take this new horn section and it will double hinge down onto his chest. And there you have Barrage in his robot mode. And I really like the way that this came out. It like reshapes the mold enough that it feels like it has its own identity. Because it is backwards, you do end up with like the unfortunate thing of like he's got these just like screws like facing front and center in this mode, and then also the kind of like ugliness of the hollowness of those joints, which is covered up a little bit by the chest bit, but not entirely. So I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to like just 3D print some like gap fillers for any of those sections, but well, I mean, those might be kind of complicated. Those would not, filling the screw holes would not be too difficult, but it doesn't bother me all that much. It's a little bit like but it is pretty impressive like how differently this guy is shaped, considering that like the only remolded sections are like the horn bit that attaches here, the head, and then getting these new accessories to plug onto the arms. But otherwise, he's exactly the same mold, just with the arms swapped to the other side, so that his arms aren't backwards because you don't rotate him around at the waist. But I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. Barrage has always been my favorite of the deluxe Insecticons, and I think that this works pretty well for him in terms of articulation. The head is on a swivel because of his like back bit here. It kind of bumps into the shoulder pieces, so it can only go that far, but I feel like that's enough of a range there. The shoulders are on mushroom joints, which again you can see from this side because they're they have the hollow bits facing the back on Bombshell, which are now facing his front, but swivel around like that and then hinge out to the side. If you unclick these, you get a bit more of a range there. He's got a bicep swivel, little over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. The wrists can only bend in. You can, rotate these bits around if you want. I usually just leave them in the orientation they were. I feel like that looks fine. And they have this little like tab here, which is kind of like loosely keeps them aligned with the like line on the arm mold there. So I don't know. I just feel like it's fine leaving them pegged in like that. They're not really too obtrusive, but you can rotate those around if you want. He's got a waist cut. Universal joints that can go forward and back and out to the side. It's got a thigh swivel, like a degree or two over 90 degrees of bend at the knee. He's got ankle tilt there. The feet can tilt forward, but tilt back, but not forward. And it's nice that he does have little toe details painted in there. I mean, pretty much the same articulation as Bombshell and Shrapnel, unsurprisingly, since he is largely the same mold. But pretty good. In terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Sideswipe, just so you can see what he looks like with an average size deluxe there. Again, like the other versions of this mold, pretty average size deluxe. Here he is again with Chop Shop, just so you can see what the two in the set look like together. And then Malice Minotaurus, obviously, who, I'll transform him into robot mode for Chop Chop's review, but, you can have him holding the hammer. I mean, he's like described as being a wrecker, so I don't know why a member of the Mayhem Attack Squad would be like wielding a wrecker hammer, but you can do it, whatever. I mean, again, this just feels like a sort of superfluous extra in the set, just to kind of like pad out the price a little bit, which is not great, but we've seen worse examples of that. And then here he is again with Legacy Bombshell, so you can see all of the differences here, which is to say really not that many in terms of the remolding. Like again, like just you can swap out the arms at the bicep swivel there and then just rotate them around. You'd have to kind of, if you wanted him to have like more of a Bombshell type robot mode, you'd have to like misses, like, take apart the torso so you could rotate the head around, and then you'd have to do that for transforming him back. So, you really can't kind of like have him have a bombshell mode, but also, like, why would you really want to? So whatever. But yeah, it is mostly, like I said, the same mold. And something that I just noticed now when like transforming bombshell is that he actually has a little bit attached here, which is using the connection point for Barrage's like horn section here that actually can swivel up and down. I've literally never noticed that before, but yeah, whatever. It's just like, but it was just like, oh, this is like pre-evidence that this was going to work some other way other than just having it be like a straight up remold of bombshell. But yeah, no, it's kind of interesting how they were able to reshape this mold again into a pretty different feeling figure. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. He's a fun figure. I don't love that you can see the screw holes, but other than that, that's really my only major complaint about him. Otherwise, he pretty much does the job. And they were smart thinking about this mold when they originally designed it so that it could actually be like these 4 different characters basically and feel relatively different for each of them. But yeah, no, fun figure, and it's a really good set. I like Chop Shop too, who I'll take a look at on Thursday. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have the Amazon exclusive Doom and Destruction collection, Barrage.